Never have I ever thought I will be liking on Brian in this season, but he seems to be the only sensible person in that house. Now, let's get into week 7 recap of Bachelor in Paradise. Now, the couples were playing a compatible game. We all know that they are not only here for love only, they are also here to win $500. They are actually playing for the prize. And this challenge, the couple who will win and answer the most questions correctly will win a romantic date. And also, if other different couples match the answers, they will then be paired up and be asked if they want to go on a secret date. Now, our most favorite couple were losing. They were losing this challenge, and the most unexpected couples were actually winning. Of course, the winner of the challenge, it was Justin with his girl. These two have said every now and then that they have no romantic connection between one another. It's just friendships. Now listen, the most unexpected people also won the challenge. Guess who? Belly and Brian. It seems like Brian have been dying to speak to Belly privately alone. He even asked Belly to consider going on a secret date with him. Of course, Belly thought it was kind of sneaky of Brian to ask her to go out on a secret date with him because she has been set on Jeremy. As soon as she received the letter from Brian asking her to meet him out in the secret dates, guess what Belly did? Belly is such an honest girl, honestly speaking. You know what she did? She went straight to Jeremy. Jeremy, who was sleeping at the time. Jeremy is sleeping and couldn't care less about the outside world and what's happening. Bailey went and confessed everything to Jeremy, asking, rather telling him that Brian, who is waiting for Bailey on the date, has actually asked her out. And this kind of annoys Jeremy. Jeremy feels a bit annoyed and they cuddle in a bed. Brian's girl was a bit suspicious. Brian's girl was a bit suspicious of what's happening between Brian and Belly. So she went and asked Brian, why did Brian ask Belly out on a secret date? Brian at this point had no choice but to come clean to his partner that he wanted to tell Belly something, and it was not a romantic something, it was something, okay? And before we know it, Brian and Belly got a moment to talk secretly. But now it's in front of everyone. Everyone can see that Belly and Brian are actually having a conversation, and everyone is wondering what is happening between the two. So guess what Brian did? Brian is out with the news saying that Jeremy possibly is not into Belly because Jeremy just 8 days ago, he was crazy with Susie, going a ballast over Susie, saying that he wants Susie back in the house. And if Susie were to come back, he would propose on the spot. Brian went on and revealed that it's not only him who knows this information. Most members of the house knows the information. And of course, this was after Bailey begged Brian to say, listen, tell me, if it's about Jeremy, tell me, I'm a big girl, I can handle whatever that you want to tell me. But as soon as she heard the news, she was crying. She was in tears. And of course, she apologized to Brian, saying that she thought that Brian had malicious reasons why he may want to go on a date, secret date with her. She obviously didn't know that Brian had such terrible news to deliver. Oh, poor Belly. She definitely does not deserve this. She is such a sweetheart at heart. And I'm sad, honestly. I was heartbroken for her that she had to find out this way. She then asked to just be given a moment. She was crying, she was crushed, and everybody else is just asking what's going on over there, what happening, what could Brian and Billy be talking about. Guess what? Alex, who is supposed to be Billy's friend, knew the secret, okay? But the first thing that Billy does is to go and confront Jeremy, who is sleeping. Listen, this man could not be bothered. He is having his peaceful sleep. He does not want anyone keep on bothering him sleeping. But Billy come in tears. She then told Jeremy that she's thinking of going home. And Jeremy is like, what? And she goes like, did you call Susie on the day of the rose? And, Jeremy is like lost for words, and Bailey is crying, saying, she has just been told the news that Jeremy would have preferred Susie to stay, and he would have proposed to Susie right there in the spot. Jeremy is crying. I meant to say Billy is crying. Jeremy, a douchebag. Listen to what comes out of his mouth. He says that no, Brian had absolutely no right to tell Billy what has been going on, because it's a bro code, okay? Bro code. Listen, someone really needed to tell Billy what's going on, because it seems like Billy is seriously in love with Jeremy. So then everybody is side-eyeing Brian. Brian realizes at this point that I am screwed. I am screwed, because now everybody knew and everybody is on me about this whole thing. And she's like, oh my God. Okay, he's like, oh my God. And before you know it, everybody was ganging up on Brian, telling how uncool what Brian did, okay? And I know very well that Brian probably didn't have good intentions, but someone needed to tell Billy, okay? The fact that half of the house knew that Jeremy was not into Billy like that. Guys, listen, it's funny. It's very funny that as soon as the 500 prize was introduced to this couple, suddenly Jeremy was into Billy. Jeremy was like, I am overly in love with Billy. I cannot imagine my life without Billy. And I'm just like, bro, are you sure? Are you sure that's your feelings talking? And Jeremy even woke up, talked to everybody about how uncool the situation is. Jeremy, let me tell you what's uncool here. What's uncool is you keeping the secrets from the girl that you say you want to spend the rest of your life with. I am shocked. By Alex, who claims that Jeremy is more of her friend than Bailey is, and she felt like it wasn't her place to tell Bailey. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, I'm shocked by Alex. I am so shocked. You are supposed to have your girl's back, okay? What happens to the girl code then? Because we are now talking about the bro code. At this point, Bailey feels like packing her bags, okay? She is packing. She is set on that she has to go. And I'm just like, listen, baby girl, care about your dignity, okay? Take your dignity with you. Pick up your dignity and flee from this man. And this is my advice. And this advice should be genuine. I want you to flee away as far as possible from Jeremy. But listen, at breakfast, Jeremy comes to breakfast, okay? And I'm like, I wonder what's gonna happen. And as soon as Jeremy sit down, talking to Dale about he doesn't know what's gonna happen. Will Billy stay or not? He said, and listen, he's mostly talking about his feelings than Billy's feelings. But guess what? Billy comes and joins Jeremy on breakfast, and they kind of talk it through. Jeremy talks like people in their house is trying to sabotage them, and Billy goes like, oh, I know, that's why I just couldn't take his word. I wanted to hash it out with you first. Baby girl, no one is trying to sabotage you. Yes, it is a strategic game at this point. You all want that $500,000. I get that. You all want that $500,000. I get that. However, someone needed to tell you, someone had to tell you that Jeremy is really not the greatest man in the world, okay? Really, 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 really not. He is a douchebag at this point, okay? And yeah, guys, they kind of hash it out. And I was like, oh, they're hashing things out. And then from Jeremy and Billy hashing things out, right to everyone in the house hating on Brian. Listen, everyone in the house is hating on Brian. Everyone is talking about how Brian cannot be trusted, how the guys can never, ever, ever, ever seem to trust Brian ever again. Even though I must say that Billy did try to protect Brian and even told the other cast members in the house that she just cannot disclose who told her that information. And in that point of time, to me, it felt like Billy was trying her hardest to protect that it was Brian. But unfortunately for her, it got out that it was Brian, and Brian was the number one enemy of the house. Luckily, Brian felt the need to pull Jeremy aside and have a discussion, or rather a talk. Of course, he does lie here and says that no, at first they were just having an innocent talk, and then Billy is the one who kind of brought it up. And apparently Brian couldn't just lie to Billy, and it just came out. Jeremy is like, no, you shouldn't have talked to my girl. You shouldn't have inserted yourself in my relationship. Still, you should have came to me first and asked me if you can have that talk with Billy. And I'm like, who are you, God? Oh, God, that's who you are? You were supposed to break this news to Billy on the first day. And he goes like, it has barely been 8 days. 8 days. And I'm like, 8 days is a long time when you are in a dating show. 8 days? Even 2 hours, okay? These people are working on time. They are in a dating show. So everyone kind of talk about that. Brian cannot be trusted, and Brian needs to be taken out of the house as soon as possible. They then goes to the rose ceremony. And in the rose ceremony, honestly, I was under the impression that the person who's going out is Brian. Surprisingly, Brian actually got the rose and he gave it to his girl. I was so surprised, honestly. I was taken by surprise, and not Spencer rolling his eyes as soon as Brian mentioned how much he loved his girl. Anyway, guys, this is the end of the recap. I will see you next week when I am bringing you more drama of a Bachelor in Paradise.